Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. In that way, I do think Caitlyn's being used as a pawn. Caitlyn didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, is what's been such a shock for all of us, that other people are surprised by this. We've been trying to tell you. I would have loved to have shut up and dribble. I would have been loved to have been spoken about just for my play. But nobody ever let us do.
When a living legend pulls the emergency brake on the WNBA hype train, you listen. Sue Bird just went full truth teller, and what she revealed, it's not just eyebrow-raising, it's headline-shattering. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rising star, she might be the league's favorite scapegoat. Who's pulling the strings? Why now? And why is Sue calling them out like she's had receipts since day one? Stick around, this rabbit hole's got
Bird. So Sue Bird has been speaking out a bunch lately, bro. Which she always speak out, but it seems like she's speaking out a little more than usual, bro. So she spoke about the physicality of the league. Now we know the league is very physical, and to the sense, she spoke about the former players that's in the league actually wearing these bruises like, scars and war wounds type stuff. Now we remember.
So let's talk about the elephant in the arena, or rather, the commissioner-sized wrecking ball currently masquerading as the guardian of the WNBA. Because whatever job description she was handed, she clearly mistook it for head of chaos management. And not in the good way, in the why are you still employed way.
Well, real quick, what did you notice about Caitlyn's work ethic?
Yeah.
Was there anything that stood out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she was in the gym constantly.
Yeah.
And it was the way she approached everything too was it was with a sort of excellence. It wasn't I'm just going to go through the motions and whatever. It was no, I'm here to kick your butt in every single drill, every single practice, and especially whenever our gray squad guys were playing against us, it was if you're across from me, you're my enemy, Right. And I think that's just kind of how you have to approach things to get better. And she had that, next level mindset, and it really just raised us all up with her.
At this point, it's starting to feel less like a league and more like a reality show, except instead of roses, we're handing out technical fouls like confetti at a toddler's birthday. It's honestly impressive how one person can alienate rookies, fans, and logic in a single season. The woman is speedrunning her way through public trust like she's trying to unlock a secret level where accountability just vanishes.
Sue Bird is now calling out Caitlin Clark's teammates because she believes Caitlin Clark's teammates have to do something. I've said this myself. Something has to happen in order to free up Caitlin Clark to be able to get some open looks. She's great at making sure everybody else gets great shots. All right, and she's pretty good at creating her own shot. But it seems like, and part of this too is Stephanie White and one of her failures. The inability to get open shots for your star.
Every time a new controversy erupts, surprise, she's nowhere to be found. Or worse, she appears with a statement so vague it could double as the terms and conditions on an expired yogurt coupon. And yes, let's call it what it is, a full-blown culture of bullying. That's the vibe now. You either toe the unwritten, ever-shifting company line or prepare to be tackled by PR statements disguised as league policy.
You gotta put it in perspective, right? These girls have been grinding to grow the game of basketball in the WNBA. They've been grinding to grow the sport to the world, the viewerships. They've been grinding for all of this. And then you have this girl that comes along from college and is an instant change. She's handed pretty much being the face of the league. There's going to be girls that are offended by that. And there's going to be girls that think she's got to earn it and she doesn't deserve this early. She's handled it great. I think she's performed last year. She's performing again this year. I think she's the rightful face of the NBA.
We're not teaching young girls how to lead, inspire, or even compete with class. We're teaching them how to weaponize bureaucracy, hide behind vague buzzwords, and clap back at valid criticism with the emotional maturity of a deflated whoopee cushion. Let's not even pretend the refereeing isn't part of the problem. These games are turning into interpretive dance sessions, where the refs just freestyle whichever call feels right in their soul. Traveling? Who cares? Elbows to the face? Meh. Breathing near a veteran with bad Wi-Fi energy? Automatic foul. And somehow, miraculously, it always seems to tilt against one person, the rookie with the largest fan base the league's had in decades. Coincidence? Sure, and my cat just invented Bitcoin. The fans didn't sign up for this, especially the new ones. We came here for basketball, not to be extras in a badly written soap opera starring ego, jealousy, and underhanded politics. This isn't a league growing, it's a league gatekeeping, with a side of pettiness served extra crispy. And here's the thing, this commissioner could have ridden the wave. She had a generational talent land in her lap like a golden goose laying million-dollar eggs, and instead of building a palace, she threw up a dodgeball court.
I was hoping that video I sent about Caitlin Clark getting fucked over yesterday too. God dang, dude. It wasn't that bad.
That was brutal.
Just like she's purposely getting targeted, and I think you're 100% right. It's jealousy. There's nothing else. No, nothing else it could be. It's nuts. It's nuts.
It's so weird. You really don't see that in the men's game, but it's not at this level, and it's not like that like on purpose.
It's a pure jealousy.
Every decision, every non-decision, every missed opportunity, every tone-deaf PR maneuver, it all screams insecurity wrapped in executive power. And what's worse? The gaslighting. Fans who dare question the absurdity are told they don't understand the culture. As if watching elite athletes get hacked like trees during lumberjack training and seeing refs shrug like it's brunch is some kind of sophisticated tradition we should all respect. If this is culture, it's the kind that grows in forgotten lunchboxes. Moldy, dangerous. Yet she takes elbows, blind screens, and full-body checks with a kind of grace usually reserved for NFL linebackers, and somehow it's just part of the game. If we wanted full contact drama with lopsided rules, we'd just watch Survivor Elbow Island. The hypocrisy isn't even subtle anymore. It's loud. It's proud. It's sipping Gatorade courtside and daring anyone to say something. It's the commissioner clapping for leadership while turning a blind eye to grown adults behaving like bouncers at a middle school dance.
So a former WNBA player, a number 5 draft pick, I'll put her comment here. She was referencing Caitlin being picked up full court. A lot of her fandom fans, I guess that's what I'll call them, says that, if she's not like the greatest ever, why are people picking her up full court? And this former player is saying most scouting reports say when you pick someone up full court, it's because they typically turn the ball over and they're not the best dribbler. They don't like the pressure. As we have seen throughout Caitlin's pretty much her entire career, she has averaged not just a lot of turnovers, but more than any WNBA, NBA, NCAA, men or women ever.
And if you listen closely, you can almost hear the credibility leaking out of the league's official Twitter feed. What message are we even sending? That the way to succeed is by creating a hostile environment? That bullying is a viable leadership tactic? That referees are just flavor enhancers for veteran egos? This isn't inspiration, it's intimidation with a glam filter. Or worse, justifications delivered with the smirk of a parent whose kid clearly broke the vase but is still blaming the dog. We get it. Clark's success is a threat. Not to the game, but to the old, rusted-up hierarchy that's terrified of change. Her popularity didn't come with a permission slip. Her skills didn't ask for approval. She just walked in and started rearranging the furniture. And suddenly the people who used to run the living room are flipping the coffee table. And the commissioner? She's not stopping the madness. She's handing out crowbars.
Amongst guards in the league, this was one of the more frustrating things I saw yesterday, because there comes a point to me when thinking about Caitlin Clark being ranked as the 9th best guard in the league by her peers. It is either delusion or it is jealousy. Because when you watch Caitlin Clark play the game of basketball, they don't treat her like she's the 9th best guard. They don't pick her up full court like she's the 9th best guard. They don't blitz her after she crosses half court like she's the 9th best guard. They don't double team her like she's the 9th best guard. They don't foul her as though she's the 9th best guard. So to rank her as the 9th best guard leads me to believe it is either delusion or it is jealousy. That's what I'm led to believe. I can't suggest that it is.
At some point, you have to wonder, what exactly is her job? Because it sure isn't protecting the sport. It's not fostering growth, that's for sure. It's definitely not setting an example for future generations, unless the example is how to ruin momentum with ego and bad decisions. In that case, 5 stars, masterclass level. Teach a course. This isn't leadership. This is insecurity in heels, micromanaging a league that should be thriving. The WNBA had a chance to be the blueprint because nobody wants to watch what feels like a hazing ritual on national television. And let's not forget the media manipulation. Every time the temperature spikes, some deflection gets trotted out. Suddenly it's about unity or growing pains or long-term vision. Meanwhile, Rome is burning and the commissioner is busy fine-tuning a press release about how we value all players equally, as if we didn't just witness Clark getting hip-checked into next week. There's no long-term vision here, there's barely short-term competence. Every time a decision needs to be made, the league either stalls, stutters, or makes the worst possible choice with the precision of a cat picking which glass to knock off the counter.
For a lot of America, Caitlin Clark is the hero, and everyone that flagrantly fouls her, speaks poorly of her, acts like she's not great is the villain, and then vice versa. How big of a part of the story is that when you look at the conflict surrounding Caitlin Clark?
You would have thought that the arrival of this superstar in the WNBA would have been seen as what it is, which is the greatest thing to ever happen to the WNBA. So she arrives, and of course, my thought, a white woman from Iowa in a 74% Black league. That's an issue. And I look at the way players like Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, Cheryl Swoops with her flurry of falsehoods, Cheryl Reeve, the Olympic coach, Gino Auriemma, really tried to minimize her.
Enough already. This isn't about picking sides, it's about standards. And this commissioner, bless her PR-trained soul, has set the bar somewhere beneath sea level. If leadership were a highlight reel, she'd be the blooper section. And it's not just a bad look, it's actively damaging to the league's future. Because fans don't want controversy, they want competition. They want storylines that inspire, not enrage. They want young girls to look at this league and say, I want to be part of that, not, I hope I don't get body slammed and blamed for being too popular. And if the current leadership can't deliver that, then maybe it's time to sub in someone who actually can take a bow, then take a hike. And let's just get this straight. If Caitlin Clark decided to throw her jersey into the stands tomorrow and sprint toward a completely different sport, golf, soccer, synchronized underwater chess, it would be hard to blame her. Honestly, at this point, the way the league's handling her presence feels like watching someone try to reboot a smartphone with a hammer. You don't need to understand the code to know the whole system is glitching.
The WNBA needs to learn how to manage this, right? They need to learn how to not just manage this rivalry, because honestly, I think a lot of this is just some less talented bitches who are trying to do this as a way to offset their lesser skill. Caitlin Clark is a gifted player. All these ladies are good players. But it is really bad sportsmanship to be some jealous bees on the court like this. And I also think, I don't want to put race into it, but I think for some of them it is race. Like Brittany Griner, she's an embarrassment to Baylor University. She gets out there, she calls her oh, you blank and white girl, all that stuff. Please.
Because without Caitlin, most of us wouldn't be watching in the first place. That's not even shade, it's just market reality. You could practically hear ESPN's servers wheezing with relief every time her name hit the broadcast lineup. She didn't just bring fans, she brought a wave, a cultural moment, a crossover event. And how did the league respond? By treating her like she'd broken into their wine cellar and drank the 1998 Chardonnay. If you ask most of them why they're still around, the answer is brutally simple. Caitlin. Not the refs, not the commissioner's strategic press statements, not the ongoing war against common sense. Just Caitlin, trying to survive a season that looks more like a punishment than a debut. But here's the kicker. If you keep biting the hand that feeds you, eventually it stops feeding. The league had a golden goose, and instead of building a nest around it, they started throwing rocks. There's only so much disrespect a player and a fan base can take before everyone just packs it in and finds their basketball joy elsewhere. Overseas leagues are probably circling like sharks in business suits right now.
So we're going to talk about it today. What's your thoughts on all of the hate that she getting?
So as far as the hate goes, a lot of it's just unjustified. Because anytime you make a major jump from college to the next level, you're always going to have a little bit of struggle. It is a big culture shock. So I think that's one factor you got to put into it.
What you mean by culture shock?
Now, if you watch most kids play now, what are they trying to do?
Shoot threes. Yeah, they try to shoot from 30 and look away for a go in the rim.
Because of how Seth Curry affected the youth, because of how he was shooting. Now you're having a lady who is showing women, hey, you can shoot from this distance. And now what that's going to do is that's going to create the younger youth also going to shoot. I'm going to go shoot like Caitlin.
Imagine being in Belgium and seeing Clark light up the EuroLeague like it's an arcade game. Meanwhile, the WNBA would be back to 5 fans and a half-baked Instagram reel wondering where it all went wrong. And let's be very clear, rivalries are a beautiful part of sports. They're the spice, the drama, the fuel, but they have to grow organically. You can't just shove 2 players on a court, crank the media hype to 11, and start whispering in code about flavor and attitude. The league's subtle nudges have started to feel like someone attempting to spark a fire with gasoline and a smirk. You don't need to be a sociologist to see what's being orchestrated here. Set up the all-American white rookie as the controversial disruptor while quietly framing the vets as the rightful enforcers. And the whole thing collapses under its own cringe the second you realize nobody asked for this. Fans didn't tune in for a civil war with layups. They came for good basketball, compelling stories, and athleticism that makes your jaw hit the hard wood.
This is a public announcement. I need everybody to stop what they're doing and listen up. As we watch the WNBA every day because of the way they play the game, because I love the WNBA, I love the way they play the game, but we really watch it because Caitlin Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money.
But what we got instead? A confused league that's clearly more focused on narratives than numbers. And not the kind of narrative that inspires, no, the kind that divides. The kind that turns locker rooms into Cold War zones and games into ideological chess matches where everyone loses. So when people say Kathy Engelbert needs to be replaced, it's not because they're mean or impatient. It's because she's been driving this league like she mistook the gas pedal for a landmine. Every major moment that could have been a cultural win somehow ends up botched. Players start to notice. That's not strategy, it's sabotage. Especially when that star isn't out here demanding statues or red carpets, she's just trying to play ball and survive the barrage of elbows, ejections, and cold shoulders. And yet here we are, watching her get dissected by the same system she's actively helping to revive.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting for the All-Star game. The pettiness has no bounds. But it's interesting, for years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, the media is sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. Iowa girl, Indiana girl. Well, who knows, and I've said this for years, when the wave hits, ride it. You don't know what it looks like.
Let's be real. No player has brought this kind of attention to the WNBA in years. Not even close. The ticket sales, the sold-out games, the viral moments, the news coverage. She's a walking billboard for the league's potential. But instead of protecting that investment, the league treats her like she snuck in through the back door with fake credentials. And what message does that send to other rising stars? Welcome to the WNBA, where talent gets you benched and popularity gets you booed by your own league. Because right now the vibe is clear. The people in charge would rather watch this league self-destruct than admit they're mismanaging it. And if that doesn't change soon, fans like us won't need to say we'd quit if Caitlin leaves. We'll be long gone before she even makes the decision.